So in yesterday's video, we looked at how much attention Alphabet controls, and we went through the different services like YouTube, Google Search, Google Ad Network, Gmail, Maps, Android, Chrome, Gemini, and looked at how many users they have, how much time the users spend on their apps, and to determine basically the attention hours that they directly control. We didn't look at the indirect control of attention hours because Google also indirectly has some ways, would have some ways to control attention hours, like second order controls. But we just looked at the first order controls, so where users directly look into applications where the code is written by Google and could be changed by Google, so that Google could somehow sneak in ways to monetize this attention. And there are many ways to monetize attention, but here let's quickly look at the different services. Currently YouTube has a huge amount of attention hours, so they have almost 1 trillion attention hours on an annual basis. And so for instance, if they could monetize the attention hours by $1 per hour, right? So they would, if you work for, I don't know, at least $10 per hour, right? So you would think that your attention for 1 hour would be worth at least $1, right? If the value of your work would be $10. But I don't assume that kind of aggressive numbers, even though it's kind of reasonable, right? Because if you look at the revenue per thousand number on YouTube, you would get maybe $20 or so per thousand. Is it even true? No, I don't think so. I can check. Yeah, but it would be like something between 10 to 30% or so, 30 cents per attention hour would be monetized by YouTube. Google Search is highly monetized. So your attention that is spent on Google Search is like the money machine, the main money machine by Google. But then we have Gmail, Android, Chrome that enjoy huge amounts of attention hours. Each service has more than 1 trillion attention hours on an annual basis. So if they would make $1 for each of those attention hours, they would be the most valuable company on earth. But of course they don't. They don't even monetize these services. They could easily add a feature in Chrome to monetize it, to maybe present some ads in the Chrome browser. Of course, users would leave. Maybe the growth rate would kind of decline, but they could still do it, right? I mean, this is just the main argument. And maybe they find more sneaky, more indirect ways to monetize attention hours. For instance, we can actually use the attention hours to train our AI models, right? If Google is now in the competition to create AGI. AGI is real, AGI will happen. So there will be a company, one or a few companies that control the most intelligent organism on the planet, that can do anything in split seconds, anything human beings can do. And the total addressable market is like $100 trillion or so on an annual basis, right? Because this is collectively what we as human workers make on an annual basis in terms of our labor, right? And so the total addressable market for creating an AI that is capable of doing stuff, of doing useful work, is hundreds of trillions of dollars. And even if he could scale it out, it would scale out the economy itself. And so there is huge value for an attention hour. For instance, all of the models are trained on YouTube videos, right? So if you look at ChatGPT 4.0, huge value. It's just the beginning of AGI, and ChatGPT 4.0 is trained on huge amounts of YouTube data. But of course, the company controlling this could use, it is actually the only one allowed to train their model on top of this user data, right? So Google is actually, like, legally, I would say, has the best shot to use their the data that is uploaded by users, the attention that is given to the services by us collectively. Google is on the primary. Is actually the primary spot to monetize this kind of collective attention, the collective attention of humanity. And there's no company that controls as much attention as Google. Google is the biggest media company on the planet. And most of the attention, so we spend maybe looking at our smartphone screens or maybe looking at browsers, and this is basically not even monetized by Google, but they could easily do it, right? And for instance, with Google Analytics, they also do it in the way indirectly, right? Because Google Analytics analyzes our surfing behavior and our behavior on app usage and stuff. So they actually, everything software, they already know the user behavior with that software. Even for third-party applications that are not controlled by Google directly, they still know it through Google Analytics, and they could still train their AIs doing it. And if you believe in AI, then you should consider this to be very valuable, right? Just having the attention and controlling the attention. But how valuable is it actually, and how can we monetize attention, and what would be a reasonable valuation for this? So let's have a look at a few things I searched out for you. So first of all, just a quick overview. Like I asked ChatGPT 4o, what are 10 ways to monetize attention as big tech companies? Of course, we have advertising. This is basically what they are currently doing, more or less exclusively, but they have already started using subscription services to monetize attention. For instance, with YouTube. YouTube is one of their major players in terms of attention it gives them, or they control through YouTube, and they have now started on YouTube not only monetize the attention with ads, but also with YouTube Premium subscription services. So Google basically goes down this route, right? But then they can also monetize the data, as I said, right? And just using the data for market research, targeted advertising, product development, insight, or even to create AIs. To use the data to create AIs that are very useful for us, users or consumers. In-app purchases, e-commerce, like Amazon, for instance, Amazon lives through its personalized recommendations. This is like the one selling point, right? It gives you the products you need, and you need to understand and control and also manipulate the user attention in order to get sales done, right? And the companies that controls most of the attention is at the primary spot to do this, and also to use and train AI models that can actually do this. You can use affiliate marketing. Google could partner up with NVIDIA, for instance, to monetize the attention of people high in the decision chain, high up in the decision chain. For instance, it could decide to, at Meta, for instance, to create huge AI factories, right, for them, and Google could partner up with NVIDIA to sell NVIDIA factories to those people, because those people also spend their attention on Google products. And this would basically mean that the monetization decree would be very smooth, we would not perceive it as a high degree of monetization, even though the monetization degree would be significant in those kind of partnerships. Content licensing is another freemium models. Hardware sales, Google could decide to sell their hardware, and having like they often also do it, right? Like Google Home and these kind of stuff, Google Glasses. They try hardware sales, and sooner or later it will work, right? They will sell their hardware, and they use their collective attention to sell more of their hardware gadgets. Then, of course, consulting and enterprise solution. Having the attention means that you can give tips to businesses, right? A B2B consulting operation you could also spin off. So there are many ways. These are only 10 ways proposed by ChatGPT 4o, but you could imagine that a savvy business owner would be able to monetize attention far beyond just advertisement. And actually Elon Musk, I think this is useful to go through this article. Elon Musk, when he purchased Twitter, he gave us some insights at how much attention can be monetized. And he was looking for human attention per day at 25 cents per hour, right? So here, let's go through this article. On Tuesday, Twitter CEO Elon Musk closed the loop on this decade-spanning aphorism as he delivered his latest business pitch. There are about 120 to 130 million hours of human attention per day on Twitter. The only problem is that Twitter isn't getting a good return on this massive hoard of human attention. The company currently only generates about 5 or 6 cents per hour, right? It's worth much more than that, he argues. We can probably at least get it to like 15 cents an hour, 20 cents an hour, he said, perhaps even 25 cents an hour. Okay, so let's be conservative, maybe go with 20 cents. And mind you, like as AI becomes more relevant, more important, this was before AI was so much overhyped. Right now with AI, probably you could double those values, right? Because attention just gets more valuable. So we have like 20 cents an hour on this, like on average, right? And then there are some other metrics. Okay, so let's do some analysis, right? So yesterday I already showed you this data as a graph. I showed you the chart here, but let's look at the raw data to get to a valuation that would make sense, in my opinion. No investment advice. So I calculated, like based on the analysis yesterday, that YouTube has, for instance, 790 billion attention hours, growing at 15% annually. And Google Search, for instance, has only 14.9 billion attention hours on an annual basis, growing at only 11.6%. So it's like a small growth business segment within Google. Gmail has a lot of attention, 1,600 billion attention hours, growing at 16%. And the most staggering growth comes from Google Growth. It already has 4,700 billion, so 4.7 trillion attention hours, growing at 29%. So we could skip all of the above, right, and focus only on Chrome. And if you would find smooth ways that would be acceptable with the general public, we could only monetizing Chrome could give us like a huge company valuation. So if you add those attention hours up, you get 13.4 trillion attention hours, and of course we would not be able to monetize all of them. We would also not want to do this, right? Sometimes we just want to give out things for free, right? Because just ethics, or because maybe you just want to say farm, you want to keep growing, right? If you would be willing to sacrifice the growth rate, yeah, maybe you could monetize 100% of the content, but then why sacrificing the growth rate if it works, right? Just monetize a small portion of it. And if you look at now here, I did the exercise, we look at different monetization degrees, also because there is some redundancy, right? For instance, with Chrome and Android, or Chrome and YouTube. So some redundancy, not like a lot, maybe 50% redundancy at most. Because you could look into the smartphone, Android phone, look at the Chrome browser and watch YouTube on it, right? But and then you could not count the attention hours 3 times. You would only be able to count it once. So in this case, the attention would be the attention of Android or the attention of Chrome, but not both, right? So maybe we could use a lower bound, like of say 4,700 attention hours or 6,000 attention hours controlling is like the upper bound of attention Google could monetize. But then let's look at the different monetization degrees, going from a very small 5% of the attention hours. So we basically throw away 95% of the attention hours and don't monetize them. And I don't only speak about advertisements, I also speak about training AIs and stuff, right? So I think 5% monetization degree is much too conservative. Why wouldn't you use 100% of your attention you have? Or maybe 50% if you try to avoid double counting and you want to get rid of the redundancy we have just discussed, then maybe 50% would be the reasonable way to monetize it, right? If you find good ways to use attention to train AIs for, say, product recommendation or to influence purchase decision of very important persons and stuff. So here we have a range of monetization degrees between 5 and 25%, and this gives us kind of these monetization attention hours, right? So let's clean this up. Okay, here we see at the top we have we have 674 billion monetized attention hours on an annual basis, at most with a 25% monetization degree, which is still like half of what they could actually do, in my opinion, but okay, just to stay conservative. We have 3.3 trillion monetized attention hours on an annual basis. Now, let's go with the lower bound of Elon Musk's 5 cents, right? This is like what Twitter did, and Twitter only monetizing through ads and very inefficiently so. So let's go with this lower bound of 5 cents per attention hour in profit. This is basically what Google could generate by monetizing only a small portion of their data very inefficiently, right? They could generate like between 33 and 168 billion in annualized profit. And this is actually what they are currently doing, right? So this is a very realistic figure. I think they are maybe between those two numbers in terms of annualized profit. So if you look at if we assume like a PE ratio of 20, which is also very conservative, we would get a fair value of, in this like low monetization case of only monetizing 5 cents, very unrealistically monetizing 5 cents, we would get a valuation between 600 billion and 3.3 trillion US dollars, with the most reasonable valuation of say 2 to 2.6 trillion USD. This would be like the intrinsic value of the company, because it could at any point switch on the cash generating machine and generate this much cash, giving that much of a business valuation. And my thesis is that Google knows this. Google just gradually increases the monetization decree so that it flies under the radar and it will continue to do so over the next few decades. It increases the monetization decree by a very impressive like 20% or so growth rate of profits. So which keeps them growing, keeps them at the top of the world's most influential companies, but always like number 2 or 3 or 4, like always under the radar of governments and organizations trying to control them because of their power. Okay, so let's look at Alphabet's true market cap. It's like 2.24 trillion. And so I did not do this analysis with the goal of reaching this Alphabet market cap, right? I just put in the numbers and gave my like estimations based on data I have, and I came out to a reasonable valuation, right? So the market assumes it's more on the pessimistic side, right? Currently, in terms of how much Google can monetize it. If you would believe more the Elon Musk numbers, which I think are even too conservative, because Elon Musk is not an expert, say, in... so he spoke about monetization decree of Twitter, and it was like not even a stretch goal. He said like it should be easily possible, and they did it, right? With Google, with Twitter, they very quickly ramped up monetizations by also ramping up the user experience as well. So it's like 15 cents per hour of your attention is like even a conservative figure. I think in the future we will see $1 or so per hour of your attention, because of the importance of data. Data is the new oil, right? So in controlling the human attention is like being the controlling instance in the world, being the controlling organizations in the world. And there are many ways to monetize this. Even like controlling the attention of one person, like the president of the United States or the CEO of Apple or so, controlling their decisions in a way and understanding their attention, having their attention on your platform could be worth billions per hour. If you are on the right side, so if the CEO of Apple decides they need to build a new computing cluster, as I said a few times as an example, you could present them with ads implicitly or explicitly, or you can nudge them into buying NVIDIA clusters or so, or maybe your own high-end products. So to influence their purchasing decisions could be worth hundreds of billions even, right? So I think hundreds of billions, of course, would be unreasonable. But if you have one person making 100 billion in 1 hour, right, it would increase the average profit per hour or profit per attention hour. So I think this figure 0.15 is still too bearish in the future. In the future, attention is everything, right? It's like worth $1, I think, easily, maybe even more. Because you can train your AIs. Okay, but let's assume 15 cents per hour. We just multiply the 15 cents with the number of monetized attention hours under those conservative monetization decrees, assuming we only monetize a portion and not all of it. And especially with AI, we would actually monetize all of it, 100%, or maybe 50%, accounting for the redundancy. But still, like, to be conservative in every assumption, we assume only 15 cents in profit, monetization decree only up to 25%, and we get a profit numbers between 100 and 500 billion annual profit. And with a PE ratio of only 20, it would probably be much higher because they are still growing double digit. We would get a valuation between 2 trillion in the most pessimistic case, monetizing only 5%, to 10 trillion, monetizing only 25%. So, and this monetization decree is actually influenced by Google. So they could simply turn a knob and increase it from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 25 to 30 to 40 and so on, right? So they could gradually increase the monetization degree of the attention they control without impacting user experience too much, keep growing here and just increasing their profit per attention hour. So a reasonable fair value here would be like in the middle. I would say 15% monetization degree, still like conservative, with only PE ratio of 20. So a reasonable valuation would be 6 trillion. So, and this could be done today, right? Not assuming Google controls any more attention they already do. This is just increasing the monetization degree, which is like an internal company policy. So they are sitting on a gold mine, essentially, is what I'm saying. They could instantly triple their market cap by just ever so slightly increasing their monetization degree of the major platforms they control, Chrome or Android. So okay, so this is what I wanted to say. Here you see the growth rate of those different services, and they are now starting with Gemini. It's like a high growth business, already controlling the attention of 100 million people or so on a monthly basis, and they integrate it in Google search and stuff. So they are always on the right side of change. They are always changing as they go. As the economy changes as well, Google adapts and finds ways to expand the attention hours they control. And in my opinion, based on the valuation I showed you, they are still undervalued. They could instantly triple their market cap by increasing the profit per attention hours to only 15 cents per hour, and only of a small portion of the attention hours they already control. Even having a few free services, like 85% or so of free services, still maintaining those free services to keep their growth rate up. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you next video. Bye.